CollabTalk is a copyright of Collaborative ABA Services, making a difference in children's lives.
Hi everyone, welcome to CollabTalk, a new series by Collaborative ABA Services that provides information and resources about autism and of course everything in between. I'm Alicia, the founder of Collaborative ABA Services, and here are some of our amazing team members. Team?
I'm Katie, I'm an occupational therapist.
I'm Bree, I'm a BCBA.
I'm Meg, I'm a licensed social worker and registered behavior technician.
Today, this episode, we're going to focus on autism and safety skills. Teaching safety skills to autistic individuals is essential because challenges with communication, social awareness, and sensory processing can increase vulnerability, which places them at risk. Our conversation today will talk more about the vulnerabilities, core safety skills to teach, and how we can help support safety awareness. So we always got to do our disclaimer. Please note that this episode is for educational purposes only and not to substitute for individualized professional advice.
Yes.
Okay, team, let's get started. Let's talk about why safety skills matter. So as we know, there are some vulnerabilities for individuals on the spectrum. And some of the vulnerabilities might be, going into traffic, or for wandering, also not knowing the difference between strangers and familiar people, emergencies, personal safety. What are some other vulnerabilities that they may face?
I think I see a lot of impulsivity with
Yeah.
kids on the
Yeah.
spectrum. Like they don't recognize that, that thing I want, I'm just going to go towards that. Or,
Yeah,
I have a burst of sensory energy, I want to run. Like,
Right.
So I know
Yeah.
parents mention a lot that like my kid will kind of just like do unsafe things without realizing they're unsafe. So that can be really hard.
Like leaning over railings or,
Climbing.
going into water, not knowing how deep it is.
Jumping off those things that you've climbed
Yes.
that are a little too high.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
temperature too, like the stove, things that are too cold, like going out into the snow barefoot.
Right. Just leaving the room or building, wherever it may be.
So, yeah.
I was going to say picking up things in the ground that are definitely garbage, that
Yeah.
are not so
Right.
good.
Maybe not safe to pick up.
So it sounds like, basically not really understanding or picking up on danger cues.
Right.
Which places them at risk. Also, like those difficulties with self-advocacy.
Yeah.
Like in unsafe situations, like they have deficits in the ability to advocate for themselves.
Right.
Can also make them vulnerable. Any other difficulties that you guys see that can make them more vulnerable?
I think the sensory challenges can make it hard. Like they can become overwhelmed and seek like a quiet space in a busy place where the parents are looking for them, or just having a tougher time being able to manage some of those things, and might lead to like an emotional outburst that on the outside might seem inappropriate. in
Right,
some
right.
families.
Understanding kind of emergency cues, like fire alarms, what that means.
Yeah, right. Oh,
Or
that's
like
a
the
good point.
flashing lights, announcements, things like that. I've worked in schools a bunch, and there was a lot of kids like that, had that sensory issue. They did, so we'd take them out of the building before the fire alarm, but really kind of having to push through that sensory sensitivity to learn the safety skill.
Yeah.
It's kind of that give and take, like what we're protecting there. So yeah.
Yeah, so those are some valid additional safety skill vulnerabilities. So the next area we want to talk about are some core safety skills to teach. So we know they have vulnerabilities, but what are some core safety skills? And I can kind of start by saying one of the safety skills that comes to mind is teaching them to respond to stop.
Yes.
And what that does is it practices consistency. So if they are getting ready to engage in something that's unsafe, like getting ready to run away, you're like, stop, and then they stop. What are some other core safety skills that parents or individuals can teach?
I think like traffic safety, right?
Yeah.
Like how to properly cross the road, or to like be aware that, you're in a parking lot, or if we're going over there, you need to stop and look for cars first.
Maybe community signs too, like crosswalk signs, stop signs.
Yeah.
I think if the child is available, like proximity to families, like
Yeah.
if you stay near me, like you can
Right.
run around, but like you stay next to me,
Right,
or if
right,
we're in a
within the
parking
area.
lot, like you need to hold my hand, like kind
Right.
of understanding where there are places to play and what are fun spaces and what are spaces where you have to stay together.
Some additional thoughts I'm thinking are like emergency skills.
Yeah.
Like how to call 911 in an emergency. Also, what is an emergency? Like
Right,
what constitutes
right.
an emergency? And also being okay with using like ID bracelets, especially if they have something like severe allergies that someone needs to know. Are some other thoughts or ideas. any other, another one I'm thinking of, like in a home setting, identifying like poisons.
Yes.
Yes. Yep.
You know, and identify, because that's important that they know, like, hey, I can't eat this.
Yes.
Yep.
100%.
Or what about, do we say stranger? Like
Oh,
a
no.
stranger danger?
No.
Like
Yeah.
understanding the difference between like a stranger or a friend or even like an acquaintance. Like what's someone that you could go to who is safe versus someone you do not go up and just, you know,
Give a hug and talk
Yeah.
about whatever. With
take
them.
their sandwich.
Right. So with teaching those core safety skills, there are some strategies that individuals or families can use to teach these safety skills, because individuals on the spectrum, as we know, everyone is different, and they may require some unique learning skills, which are, some of them are ABA based.
Yep.
Yeah.
So one of the strategies that I'm thinking of is like a task analysis, where we're breaking down larger skills into small steps. Like, for example, we might do a task analysis for teaching a kid how to wash their hands or brushing their teeth,
Yep.
where like the goal is to wash their hands, but I'm going to break it down into smaller steps
Right.
for them to accomplish the overall goal of hand washing or toothbrushing. Any other strategies for teaching safety skills?
I feel like role playing is super important.
Yeah.
Especially with like younger kids too, like practice.
I think having visuals like social stories or kind of a script, like I know that for some of my families, like that you mentioned, like calling 911, like there's a script next to the phone, or so that they know they can like read out those things. Or if it's a social story of like, you know, we don't hug strangers, like you can give social stories are great, because then you can read it a bunch and then you have the visuals constantly, and that can help with learning as well.
Right. And, like, gauging problems. Is it a big problem? Like, do we need help? Do we need
Right.
to call 911? So that when they learn to call 911, they don't call 911 because they stubbed their toe.
Yeah.
A big problem, small problem.
Yeah, exactly.
You know? So when it's appropriate to kind of use those strategies, or, you know. One other one I was thinking too is teaching like personal information, like a parent's name, phone number. Even, you know, if they're nonverbal on the communication devices, and learning how to locate that when someone asks, "Are you lost?" Like, "Where's your mom?" Things like that.
Yeah.
My
What's
son
your name?
loves to tell
Yeah.
people my name now.
Yep.
Because we taught that.
Yeah.
So using any sort of strategy you can, regardless of their verbal abilities.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely.
Oh,
Go ahead. I think too, using visuals. Like I know I have a client that's really helpful to have like a stop visual by the door, so that like it's cueing them, like, I know you have like this impulse right now to just run out the door, but remember, we stop. We can't just run out the door.
Right.
So using those little strategies helps too.
And on the flip side, like locating exit signs.
Yeah.
Knowing how to get out if you
have
need
to. Very good. Yeah.
And also, most importantly, is positive reinforcement, right?
Yeah.
We want to make safety practice motivating, not a scary experience. So whenever we catch them doing something good or being safe, like, oh, great job, you know, walking next to mom or walking next to dad on the sidewalk. Oh, I just love it. You know, we're praising them for the behaviors that we want to see. So that's huge. And also, another strategy is we always think about generalization. Like, hey, we might practice these skills at home, but it's also great to also practice them out in the real world, in the community, so that they can generalize those skills across home, school, community environments. To help maintain those skills. And also not just across different settings, but also across different individuals, among other peers, other caregivers. Which is huge.
One thing we've done at home is like the smoke alarm.
Oh,
The sound of the smoke alarm. And we're working on, you know, like, where would the safe space be to go? If you hear that alarm go off, where do you go after that?
Right.
So even if they don't understand, you know, the emergency or the risk of what that alarm is sounding, it's just you hear this alarm, this is where you go. Right, yeah. And so we do it, you know, at my house, my son's dad's house, his grandparents' house, because they all sound different, and there's a different place to go, but outside of the house.
Yeah. And also, too, I know we're talking about strategies, but I think another safety skill, which I totally forgot and very important in today's society, is also teaching them internet safety skills.
Oh, yes.
Because that's also another safety skill, is teaching them how to be safe on the internet. Because as we know, AI, you know, is out there. We also have incidents where there's like different adults that should not be on
Yes.
a kid website. So there's things surrounded around internet safety too that we should also consider, and also when we're teaching those skills, talk about those as well.
Yes.
So what are some tips for parents, educators, and caregivers when teaching safety?
I think one of the things is kind of be kind to yourself and be okay that you have to make modifications. I know for some of my parents are like, oh, I can't take them to, say, X, Y, and Z. And I'm like, that's okay for now. Like, you can take them to a playground where there's a fenced-in area so they know that your child can run and be safe. Or, you know, going to a very busy thing isn't successful, so we can modify it. It's not that you're not doing those things, it's you're giving your child the space to learn the skills.
Right.
And then as they get older, some more of those things are available. And I think that when I've mentioned that to parents, they feel more relaxed. Like, okay, cool. I don't have to constantly be in a situation where I feel super scared for my kid.
Yeah.
And also, like, staying consistent with those strategies. Like, for example, using, you know, the same language across individuals and cues. Like, kind of like, Bree, what you were saying about the stop visual. If you're going to use the stop visual at home, it would be great to use them, you know, in other places.
Yeah.
Or even, like, if we're saying stop, if we're teaching them how to respond to the command of stop, then we're using it, you know, communicating with the school and having the teachers use that if they're trying to run off. Also, another language that they might use is, like, we might be teaching a child, for example, to walk next to an adult. So we might say, walk with me. And the child understands that cue means to walk next to the adult, and that we're consistently using the same exact language at school, in the community where we're out, as well as at home. So consistency builds fluency, is what I would say.
And I think making modifications to your home, I know you mentioned like poisons or the fire alarm and stuff like that, like having to modify your home a little bit while your child's learning safety will just be more peace of mind for you. And again, it's not a forever thing, but I think, you know, if I can put all of those things behind, say, a child lock, or I can put those in a place where they can't get to them, then I just know that I don't have to worry about that. And I think that's easier.
Right.
I think, too, maybe even just introducing them, you know, in person to first responders, like calling the firehouse. Hi, can I bring my child down? I'm trying to teach fire safety. Let them see the truck. Because I think maybe, you know, if they love trucks, they're more apt to kind of tune in to, you know, the lesson there, or in swim lessons, water safety. Keep vests on them at all times around bodies of water. Things like that.
I think practice and, like, revisit those skills. Like Meg had mentioned the fire alarm, but I think it's important, like, once they even get the skill, like, you know, practicing it once in a while. You don't hear a fire alarm, you know, every day, so it's good to, like, revisit that skill and make sure that it's still, you know, successful.
And also keeping the teaching in a positive, like, frame it in a positive manner. Like, I'll give you an example when I'm like, walk with me, like, you're telling the child to walk with you, not necessarily saying, hey, you're going to get hit by a car. Because now we're using fear-based teaching. And it's not going to be effective as opposed to using a positive approach. Any other tips that we might have missed?
I think involving the whole family too, right? Like if you are, again, back to Meg's example of the fire alarm, like you can do it all together. It isn't just for the one child that's maybe having difficulty. You can all practice it. It's helpful for everyone, and it's also helpful for that child that needs a little bit more extra practice to do it with.
And you can do
siblings.
it at family members' houses. You can do it when you visit a friend. Like there's lots of opportunities.
You can make it fun.
And also, like, when we're teaching our child or individual new skills, we want to individualize them and adapt them or modify them based on the individual's learning style. So we want to also incorporate how they communicate and their sensory needs as well. So, like, if you have a child that may be nonverbal, you know, it's okay to incorporate if they use an AAC device to use the AAC device as well, and just kind of just keeping it in mind on how that child learns the best. And that's okay, because every skill that you teach is not going to be presented the same way towards across the same children, because they all are unique. So key takeaways from today. You know, the first thing that comes to my mind is safety is always the first priority. It's always better to be proactive than reactive. It's the first takeaway I can think of. Any other key takeaways?
I think having a plan, like you mentioned, like I always kind of joke around, like preparing for the worst, expecting the best, I think is easier than expecting the worst and preparing for the best. Because then you kind of get stuck behind the 8 ball. So I think it may make you feel silly, be like, okay, what could go wrong? Okay, how can I plan for that? All right, cool, now I'm prepared. So when I see that, I know how to kind of quickly react versus being like, oh gosh, what should I do?
I think every child can learn.
Right.
100%.
It might take every child a different amount of time to learn the skill, but it can be taught. Like I would never do something out of fear of your child not being able to learn it.
Right, that makes sense, yeah. And also, when you think about them learning safety skills, it empowers your child and also promotes independence. So that's one key takeaway if you're like wondering like, why is it important to teach safety skills? I said safety skills, safety skills.
Yeah.
You know, so you want to incorporate that, and also you want to also reinforce those skills across professionals, the community, what I was saying earlier, the school, and at home, so everyone's on the same page.
Yeah.
Any other key takeaways that we may have missed? So I think we got it. I think we summed it up for today. So I'm going to wrap up today's episode. Thanks for tuning in to our episode of Collab Talk. If you found this information valuable, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and also hit the bell so you never miss an episode. Got thoughts or questions? Drop them in our comments box. We'd love to hear from you. Until next time, let's keep this conversation going. To learn more about Collaborative ABA Services, check us out on our website at www.collaborativeabaservices.com and also our additional social media pages, including Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and
TikTok.
TikTok. Bye.
CollabTalk is a copyright of Collaborative ABA Services, making a difference in children's lives.